Hey everybody, it's Jamie from Plum Island Sea Cabin. We are hiking out to the beach. It's a little icy, I can show you that in a second. But the road is still closed to where we normally do our best shelling. So we're gonna try another avenue, another route today. I keep looking down because it is very icy here. But we're gonna get out to the beach and we are gonna do some shelling. We had some really big waves last Friday. They were about, I think, 10 to 11 feet. And this Monday, we're gonna be having some 18 to 20 foot waves. So the shelling today should actually be pretty good. And the shelling next week should be even better. So let's get out to the beach and see what we can find today. So I was just coming out of the dunes, walking down from the beach, and I met some people that watch my channel. So hey Darla, hey Greg, hey Jocelyn, hey Genevieve, thanks so much for watching. I appreciate it. You came all the way from Framingham to Plum Island to check out the beach, and that makes me very happy. The waves are considerably larger than they have been, which is awesome for shelling. We had to turn around a couple times. There was some road closures and we had to navigate through that, but we are on the beach now. And we have our first find right here, and it is a nice piece of sea glass. It's a nice piece of sea glass here. Probably from an old Coke bottle or an old Pepsi bottle. I like the aqua glass, but we could actually research this later today when we get home, find out what kind of a soda bottle it was, and I'll put it up on the screen for you. So let's keep going. So here's a good pro tip for shelling. So when the water is going out, when it's changing from high tide to low tide, all the water from the beach is getting sucked and pulled out to the ocean, and it creates these really deep pockets here. And what happens is the water pulls the shells down and the shells get trapped in these pockets. I mean, you can see in here there's some blue mussels, there's some baby surf clams. Bring you over here. There's nothing in here that's worth me getting my feet wet today, but if there was, I assure you I'd be going right in. But always check out these little tide pools when the water's going out, because a lot of really good things like sand dollars get trapped in them. I do see something down here that I feel like I want to get my hands wet for. I will do it if there's something that intrigues me enough. So I do see something. I'm just gonna put my bag down and I am going to go in right here. And it is a large surf clam. It's a very large surf clam. It is alive. You can see here, I don't want it to shut on me, but you can see how it is going in. But it is alive, so we're gonna put it back. We just wanna take a good look at it. The interesting thing about surf clams, ooh, it's spitting out some water at me. So surf clams are bivalves, which means they are two shells that are joined together by a hinge in the back. So that hinge here. So they do have two adductor muscles. That's unlike the scallops, who have the one adductor muscle. Oysters, mussels, they all have one. These guys have two. So that means when they close very tight. The other thing that is very interesting is if you look at the back here, you can see it looks like a really, really tiny surf clam. And that is actually the origin of growth. So what's really cool is you can actually see all the grow lines and where it started, and it was a really, really, really tiny surf clam to where it grew some more, and where it ended up, which is probably around 8 inches wide. So that's a little bit of information there for you, where the origin of growth is. It's right in the back there, right against the hinge, and you can see where it was the baby surf clam and all those grow lines until it grew into this giant clam that it is today. So we're gonna put it back in the water. My hand is freezing. You can see it's bright red, but it was worth pulling this guy out because it was a good little visit. Put you back there. Bye, little guy. So I also have some other good advice for you. So when you're freezing and your hands are this red and cold, if you scrunch them and open them, and hold them down to get the blood flowing towards the fingertips. It brings the heat and the warmth back to your hands. I don't need any gloves. So here's a cool find, a very nice piece of beechwood here. So what's interesting to me about this is I actually grew up on a lake, and on that lake we had beavers, and beavers actually are the ones that make these chew marks here. You can see their teeth marks, and you can see them all along this piece of driftwood. And they make really cool patterns with their teeth because they actually eat the bark, and they take the timber back and build their beaver dams with it. But this is a really nice piece of wood. You can see the size. I have my hand in here, see if I can lift it a little bit. But these are the chew marks that they make. You can see all the little teeth marks, and what they do is they go round and round and round and round and chew and chew and chew and chew until the tree falls down or the limb comes off, and then they take it back to their beaver dam and throw it on, and it becomes part of their habitat where they live. So it's a very nice piece of wood. It's beautiful. You can see all the teeth marks on it, and that must have come up the Merrimack River because beavers are actually freshwater animals. So it's always interesting when I find something like this on a beach. I'm like, where did it come from? But Plum Island, the mouth of the Merrimack, is right around the corner from here in Newburyport. It's a lot of brackish water that feeds into the ocean around here, so that makes perfect sense. It's a nice frosty piece of sea glass, Bottleneck. Nice little surprises inside. I might hang on to this and keep it. This is also a very nice piece of sea coal. Very nice piece of sea coal. You can see how it lusters like that. I love it. A lot of times when the top layer oxidizes, it turns into a rainbow, and it's rainbow coal, which I found a few pieces of those before, not many, but sea coal is definitely one of my favorites. I also always like to pause for a minute when I'm out here and just appreciate the dunes and how beautiful they are. You can see with the wind, how the wind actually windscapes them. We had some pretty high winds last week, so it's always interesting to see all the markings that the wind carves into the dunes. It is beautiful too. I think I've showed you in a couple of videos when the snow actually falls on them, and what the wind does then, it mixes it with the sand, and it kind of looks like the top of a frothy latte. But it is really beautiful. I can give you some scale on the dunes. They actually tower over me in the background. This is probably not the best angle, but you can see back there, they're really, really high. And there's a ton of wildlife that live in the dunes. So that's why it's really important when you come to places like Plum Island or where there are dunes that you stay on the beach areas and on the designated boardwalks, because it's a really fragile habitat. And we want to do our best to preserve it and not disturb any of it. There's deer that live out here, there's coyote, there's beautiful snowy owls in the winter. But it is a pretty amazing place. If you ever get the chance to visit it, I highly recommend it. Come and visit me, we will go shelling. Nice dog whelk here to add to our jar, because if you remember, when we were finding all of the dog whelks last week, we were not able to finish filling our jars. So we'll add this one to our dog whelk collection, and once that jar gets full, or pretty close to full, I'll give you guys an update so you can see the progress. But here's another great dog whelk to go towards our collection. Check that out. Look at how cool that is. Look at how amazing it is. I love it. But low tide, dead low tide, is actually going to be after dark tonight. So we won't be here. But take a look at the surf. You'll notice it is considerably larger than it has been the past couple times we were here. So large surf going in the right direction is actually very good for shelling and very good for us. Today the waves are still kind of quiet, but we're getting a storm tomorrow, and there's going to be like 20-foot waves coming in from the ocean, bringing in all those shells. So next week, shelling here is going to be where it's at. So thanks for shelling with me again today, guys. I'll see you guys next time we hit the beach.